Your trees are county property now. That's what the HOA president screamed at me when I found 200 of my Christmas pines gone stumps, still bleeding sap. Snow, dusting, the raw wood like ash. A for sale sign stabbed into the frozen dirt where my father's legacy used to grow. I'm a forestry manager. I know trees. I know soil. I know exactly where property lines run. And I knew, standing there in that devastated field with sawdust still hanging in the December air, that Victoria Sinclair had just made the biggest mistake of her life. Because my father didn't just leave me 5 acres of prime pine farmland outside the HOA boundary, he left me something far more valuable, a leather work glove, a surveyor's journal, and a promise I intended to keep. Fresh pine resin mixed with diesel exhaust and churned earth cold from winter frost. I'd driven up to Coal Pine Farm at dawn. Coffee, still warm. Snow crunching under my tires. Expecting rows of 7-year-old pines standing dark green against the December sky. Instead, stumps. 200 stumps, sawed clean at ground level. Snow gathering in the cuts. Professional cuts. Commercial logging. The kind that costs serious money. I stood in the center of what used to be my livelihood, boots crunching on wood chips and frozen ground. Feeling something cold settle in my chest. Not rage yet, just clinical shock. The way you examine a fracture before the pain hits. Morning light slanted through empty space where the canopy used to be, illuminating a yellow sign staked center, sold by order of Cedarwood Estates Hoe Board. Landscape compliance action. December 12. Below that, Victoria Sinclair, President. Today was December 15th. I took 47 photographs, stumps, sign, tire tracks cutting through soil. My father spent 30 years building, snow filling the treads. Called the HOA office. Got voicemail. Left no message. Walked back to the cabin, the only structure my father built with his own hands, and tried to remember how to breathe. Inside, I opened his desk drawer. The leather work glove on top, cracked and dark from decades of use. Underneath, wrapped in oil cloth, his surveyor's journal from 1987. Page 12 showed the property line running 100 yards west of my pines. The county assessor data matched perfectly. My line stopped at the creek bed. HOA jurisdiction started on the other side. No overlap. No easement. No gray area. Someone stole $18,000 worth of mature Christmas trees from land they had no authority over, and left a sign with her name on it. Last page of the journal, a note dated 3 years ago, 6 weeks before the cancer took him, V. Sinclair came by again today. 3rd time she's asked to buy the eastern parcels. Offered $200. 000 for all 5 acres. When I said no, she got that look. Said I was being short-sighted. Said there were other ways to resolve property disputes. She said we'd see. Below that, my writing from the day after his funeral, I promise, Dad. I'll keep it growing. Each tree had a name. Margaret for my mother. Old Joe for my grandfather. Hope for the daughter I hadn't seen since the divorce. Now they were gone. And the woman who took them thought she could get away with it because she had a title and 300 homeowners paying dues. She was wrong. Inside the glove, a slip of paper. My father's contingency plan. Thomas Brennan, Esquire. Property law. Tell him I sent you. I dialed at 8:45. A man answered on the second ring. Brennan. I told him who I was, whose son, what I was looking at. 6 words changed everything. Come to my office. Bring the journal. I locked the cabin, pocketed the glove, and walked through the devastation once more, snow falling heavier. The stumps looked obscene. Raw wood weeping frozen sap. Growth rings exposed. I counted them. All 200. Then I drove to town, past the Cedarwood HOA office with its brass nameplate, into the older county buildings with cracked parking lots. Thomas Brennan's office was second floor. Converted furniture store. Inside, a man, mid-60s, reading glasses on chain, surrounded by filing cabinets and case law books. Space heater humming. He gestured to a chair. Let me see it. I handed him the journal. He flipped through slowly, stopped at the plat map, started writing. Your father was a good man. Stubborn as hell, but good. He called me 2 years ago when Sinclair started making noise about easements. I told him to document everything. Looks like he did. Can we fight this? Thomas closed the journal, leaned back. Fight it, son. We're going to bury them. But not with restraining orders or emergency injunctions. That's what they want. Keeps you broke while they lawyer you to death with HOA funds. No, we do this slowly, carefully, with enough evidence that when we're done, Victoria Sinclair won't just lose. She'll beg to settle. He pulled out a folder already thick with papers. I've been tracking Cedarwood HOA for 4 years. Your father wasn't the first person they tried this on. Just the first one, too stubborn to cave. What do you need? Thomas smiled, not kindly. Everything. Receipts, photos, timeline, and most importantly, find out who else they've squeezed. Because people like Victoria Sinclair don't build empires alone. They build systems. He slid a business card across the desk. Go home. Document the site. Then start asking questions quietly. And Nathan, I looked up. Your father made me promise something before he died. He said if they ever came after the farm, I should help you finish what he started. So that's what we're going to do. I drove back as sun climbed higher, parked by the cabin, engine ticking. The leather glove sat on the passenger seat. My father had been a forester 35 years. Taught me everything right up until he couldn't get out of bed. That last afternoon, morphine making his words careful, he pressed this glove into my hands. Don't let them take it. Not the land. Not the work. Don't ever bow. I picked up the glove. Victoria Sinclair had miscalculated. She assumed I was just another grief-stricken son, too overwhelmed to fight. She didn't know I'd spent 15 years managing timber yields, erosion patterns, wildlife surveys. My job was literally about playing the long game, planting trees that wouldn't mature for decades. I walked to the western property edge. The old corner stake jutted from frozen ground. Survey ribbons, faded but intact. I knelt, touched the marker, felt bedrock underneath. Property line. Legal. Documented. Mine. I stayed there, hand on that stake, letting anger settle into something colder, more useful. Then I stood, brushed snow from my knees, went back to start taking notes. This wasn't about 200 trees anymore. This was about a promise to a dying man. And I'd never broken a promise to my father yet. The summons came 3 days later, certified letter, requiring signature, Emergency board meeting. Required attendance. December 18, 7 p.m. I called Thomas. They're moving fast. Good. Let them think they're in control. Go. Say nothing. Just listen. The HOA office. December 18th, 6:55. Parking lot half empty through falling snow. I recognized Marcus Stone's pickup custom paint. Oversized tires. I parked far end. 3 deep breaths, watching exhaust fog. Walked in carrying phone and plat map. Conference room, aggressively beige. Cream walls. Tan carpet. Laminate table. Heat cranked high. And there she was. Victoria Sinclair sat at the head, flanked by Marcus and a younger woman typing nervously. I'd seen Victoria from distance before community events. HOA postings, never up close, like this. She was striking in a way that commanded attention. Mid-50s. Composed. Expensive. She wore a crimson-red blazer that fit like it had been tailored specifically for her frame, draped open just enough to reveal a black silk top beneath the V-neck, cut deep and deliberate. A matching red pencil skirt with a subtle slit, paired with glossy red heels that caught the fluorescent light. Her wine-brown hair fell in perfect waves just past her shoulders, and her lips glossy red, precise, curved into a smile that didn't reach anywhere near her eyes. She looked like someone who'd built an empire and intended to keep it. She stood, extending a hand I didn't take. Mr. Cole, thank you for coming. Please, sit. I sat. Victoria remained standing, opening a leather portfolio, extracting a document thick as a phone book. I want to begin by saying how sorry we are about the misunderstanding regarding your property. The HOA takes compliance seriously, but we value community members and want to resolve this amicably. She slid the document across. Property Compliance Report. My name below in 14-point font. I didn't touch it. Marcus leaned forward, face flushed. Look, we get it. Your dad just passed. You're emotional. But rules are rules. We've got documentation going back to 1987. 1987. I interrupted. Interesting. Because Cedarwood HOA wasn't incorporated until 1992. I checked. 3 seconds of silence. Then Victoria laughed bright. Artificial. Like breaking glass. Well, you've done your homework. But historical easement agreements predate formal incorporation. Quite standard. She opened to a marked page. Section 4. Subsection B. HOA maintains view corridor preservation rights extending to the Eastern Creek boundary, which unfortunately includes where your trees were. Photocopy of a photocopy. Text fuzzy. Barely legible. Dated October 1987. Signature illegible. Do you have the original? Victoria's smile tightened. Original documents are in secured storage. This is a certified copy with the same legal standing. Regarding the trees, we acted within authority. Greenway Logging removed the obstruction, sold timber to offset remediation. They netted $18,000, allocated to HOA's Landscape Maintenance Fund. Allocated. So the money disappeared into your general fund. Marcus slapped the table. It went where it was supposed to, maintaining property values for 300 homeowners. You're not even a resident. Don't pay dues. Don't vote. don't get a say. The secretary nameplate read, Rachel Morgan glanced up briefly. Not agreement. Discomfort. Victoria raised a hand. Silencing Marcus. What my colleague means is we have responsibility to the broader community. Which brings me to our proposal. New document. Crisp. Sign this acknowledgement that tree removal was within HOA authority. Waive future claims. And we'll consider it closed. No legal fees. No disputes. Clean break. I read slowly. Not just a waiver comprehensive surrender. Acknowledging HOA easement rights. Agreeing to future audits. Accepting their authority over my land use. Final paragraph turned my stomach. Signatory waives right to independent surveying or legal challenge. I set it down. And if I don't sign? Victoria's smile died. Then we proceed with formal enforcement. Legal fees. Injunctions. Possible liens. Our attorney estimates $50,000 just to get a surveyor out before litigation begins. We have full HOA fund resources. Marcus jumped in. 300 homeowners. $50 a month. That's our war chest. How long can you fight on a forestry manager's salary? Be smart. Take the settlement. We might even help you find a buyer. I stood, leaving both documents. I'll need time to think. Victoria's smile returned smaller. Genuine. Of course. Take the weekend. We'll reconvene Monday. I walked out, feeling their eyes on my back. Outside. I sat in my truck 5 minutes. Hands on wheel. Breathing. Then drove straight to county library. Property records, basement. I requested everything on Cedarwood development. HOA incorporation. Easements. 1980 through 95. Started with incorporation papers. Cedarwood Homeowners Association. Filed April 1992. Victoria Sinclair. President. Marcus Stone. Treasurer. No mention of historical easement. No recorded documents predating my father's purchase. Easement records. Nothing. Not one filing mentioning view corridors. Landscape preservation. Creek boundaries. Only easement on record. Utility access. 1989. Western edge of Cedarwood. Nowhere near my property. Victoria hadn't just overstepped authority. She'd fabricated it entirely and put her signature on a sign claiming credit. I called Thomas. Told him everything. Classic intimidation play, he said. Fake documentation. Financial pressure. Implied authority they don't have. The question is, why you? Why your property? My father's journal. Victoria asking to buy land 3 times. Other ways comment. She wants the land. Always has. This is just another way to get it. Then we need to find out what else she's done. People who forge easement documents don't stop at one victim. Start looking for patterns. Other homeowners she's targeted. Build me a list. And don't sign anything. Driving home through snow, I passed HOA office. Lights still on. Through the window, Victoria and Marcus animated conversation, her gesturing, him nodding. They looked pleased, confident. They thought they'd cornered me. Thought, fear, debt. Isolation would force my hand. Critical error. They assumed I was alone. I wasn't. I had Thomas. Documentation. and something they'd never understand: patience to let a forest grow. Thomas Brennan's office, Monday morning, plat map and 3 folders under my arm. He cleared space. Show me. I spread library photographs. Fake easement. Father's journal. Thomas studied 90 seconds. Victoria Sinclair tried this exact play 4 times last 6 years. Year number 5. He pulled Cedarwood complaints file. Stack of intake forms. Mailbox violations. Fence removals. Emergency assessments for repairs never happened. 3,000 here. 8,000 there. Same pattern. Threaten action. Demand contractor from approved list. Collect payment. Deliver substandard work or none. 4 families. Too scared or broke to fight. Most paid. Moved on. 1 tried suing buried in motions. Gave up after 18 months. Did any win? Not yet. They were fighting alone. You've got something they didn't. Land outside HOA jurisdiction. She has no legitimate authority. That's our wedge. But we need pattern of fraud, embezzlement, abuse of duty. We need witnesses. He started writing. Document everything at farm. Request HOA. Financial records, state law requires it. They'll refuse, giving us subpoena grounds. 3rd, find other victims. Quietly. See who else was squeezed. He slid template letter across. Standard records request citing State HOA Transparency Act 712. When they say no, then we escalate. But I think they'll send doctored records look legitimate. Hide real numbers. That's when we bring forensic accountant. Meantime, look for anything they left behind. Logging companies don't clear-cut 200 trees without documentation. Someone authorized it. Someone paid. Someone profited. Find the paper trail. Back at farm. Afternoon sun. Slanting through bare branches. Snow. Turning landscape. Gray, gold, white. Stumps, now small mounds. I walked perimeter, photographing everything. Started searching ground near logging truck parking. Drainage ditch, crumpled work order. Mud-stained, frozen, legible. Greenway Logging Company. Tree removal contract. Authorized by Cedarwood Estates HOA Board. Signature, Victoria Sinclair. Payment notation, HOA fund check #4471. 6 angles photographed. Sealed in plastic. Called the number. Greenway. Voice gravelly. I identified as property owner. Asked about the job. Pause. Papers shuffling. Yeah. December 12th. 200 mature pines. Sold wholesale Christmas tree depot, $60 a tree, just under 12,000 after our cut. 12,000. HOA claimed 18. Who authorized? Says HOA president. Verified through letterhead. Seemed legit. You saying it wasn't. Trees were my property. Outside HOA jurisdiction. Still have authorization paperwork. Carlos swore quietly. Man. Sorry. Don't freelance on someone else's land knowingly. Yeah. Got copies? Email. 10 minutes later. Work order. Authorization letter on HOA letterhead. Scanned check 4471. $18,000. Signed, Marcus Stone. Treasurer. For tree removal on property HOA had no claim to. Profiting $6,000 on spread. Forwarded to Thomas. Subject: found it. Opened laptop. Pulled HOA website. State law required annual financial reports. Posted. Downloaded 2023 financial summary. Income dues. Fees. Fines. Landscape maintenance. Legal. Admin. Landscape maintenance. $147,000 over 12 months. Note: various approved vendors. No itemization. No names. Just lump sum. Created spreadsheet breaking down expenses. Landscape maintenance appeared 15 times, always round numbers. 12,000. 9,000. 8,000. No invoices. No descriptions. Just payments to Summit Property Services, LLC, $89,000 total. Ran company name through state registry. Summit Property Services. Incorporated March 2022. Registered agent Marcus Stone. Business address 527 Willow Creek Road. County Assessor 527 Willow Creek Residential Property. Owner Marcus Stone. Marcus created shell company. Registered to home. Funneled nearly 90,000 HOA funds through it 18 months. Tree removal was latest transaction in systematic embezzlement. Victoria as president had to know. Had to be complicit. Probably running it. Saved everything 3 cloud accounts. Printed for Thomas. HOA website had discussion forum mostly inactive. Created anonymous account. Posted simple question. Has anyone been charged unexpected compliance fees? Trying to understand if standard practice. 2 hours? 11 responses. Mailbox violation, 3,000 only approved contractor Summit Property Services. Forced fence removal, 8,000 replacement. Summit again. Someone 500 emergency assessment community gate repairs never happened. Pattern unmistakable. 23 incidents, totaling 120,000 over 3 years. People paid, moved on. None knew about others. Victoria and Marcus kept everyone isolated, convinced each victim they were alone. Fighting would cost more than compliance. Tuesday morning sent records request certified mail. Drove to 3 addresses from database. Retired teacher fined lawn violations. Answered suspicious. Willing to talk. Had emails from Marcus threatening liens if didn't hire Summit. Second homeowner photographed Summit fence work. Invoice. 50 new boards. Photos 15. Third homeowner cried, seeing the pattern, thought she was crazy. Violated rules she didn't understand. By Wednesday, 8 signed statements. 19 fraudulent invoices. Email threads showing Marcus and Victoria coordinating enforcement. Thomas reviewed everything. Shook his head. Worse than I thought. Not just abusing authority running protection racket. Threaten action. Force contractor. Split proceeds. Textbook racketeering. We file formal complaint with State Regulatory Board. Request forensic audit. Prepare for annual meeting. Annual meeting. Every HOA must hold one. State law. Can't cancel. Postpone more than 7 days. Every homeowner has right to attend. Speak. December 28th. That's our stage. Where we burn it down. But we only get one shot. 6 weeks. We document everything. Build airtight case. Make sure when Victoria Sinclair stands up in that room, she has nowhere to hide. Responses kept coming. By Thursday, 43 forum comments. 27 emails from homeowners suddenly realizing they weren't alone. Weekend interviews, coffee shops, parking lots away from Cedarwood, snow falling outside. Same story, sudden violation. Impossible deadline. Approved contractor list with exactly one name. Work never happened or cost triple market. Targeting, elderly on fixed incomes. Single parents working 2 jobs. Recent divorcees, anyone vulnerable enough to pay rather than fight. Monday, HOA secretary reached out. Direct message. We need to talk. Not at office. Not anywhere, Cedarwood. Tomorrow, 2 p.m. Diner Highway 41. Go wow. Listen. Record everything. Diner half empty, mid-afternoon. Snow, piled against windows. Secretary already there. Hands wrapped around untouched coffee. Younger than I'd thought, early 30s. Dark circles. Missed sleep. I shouldn't be here. If Victoria finds out, I'm done. Not just fired, she'll destroy me. Then why? 'Cause I can't keep doing this. She pulled out flash drive. 6 months ago. Started keeping copies. Everything wrong. Email threads Victoria Marcus about vendor selection except never selection. Always summit. Meeting minutes, voting without 2/3 majority required. Check registers payments summit for work never approved. Voice trembling. I told myself paranoid. Didn't understand HOA operations. But then you showed up. Tree thing happened. Realized this isn't procedure. This is fraud. I'm a coward. No money lawyers. Can't afford blackballed. But you already lost everything they could take. Maybe if someone does something with this, I can sleep again. Flash drive. 873 files. Emails. 24 months. Meeting minutes with notes. Marcus abstains crossed out. Replaced votes, yes. Financial reports 3 versions. Public, online. Internal with vendor names. Third, 4 V only, showing real flow. 2 days reviewing with Thomas. What we found made tree theft look like shoplifting. Victoria and Marcus running scheme since 2021, right after Marcus incorporated Summit. Systematic funnel. Identify vulnerable homeowners. Manufacture violations. Force contractor hire. Split markup. But that was just foundation. Buried in 4 V-only files. Sunrise Meadows Development folder. Real estate development company wanted boutique resort Eastern Edge Cedarwood. Needed 12 parcels, including my farm. Offered Victoria and Marcus $250,000 referral fee if they facilitated willing sales. Strategy explicit. Make target homeowners desperate to sell by burying them compliance costs. Then have Sunrise swoop with cash offers looking like salvation. My father, priority target 1. Tree removal wasn't just theft opening move and pressure campaign designed to break me financially, emotionally, until selling seemed only option. Notes about other targets homeowners whose properties bordered proposed development. Each marked projected timelines, estimated pressure points. This wasn't about getting my money back or exposing petty corruption. This was stopping conspiracy to systematically dispossess people of homes and land through manufactured crises and fraudulent enforcement. Victoria hadn't just stolen my trees. She tried to steal my father's legacy, my future, and futures of 11 other families, all to collect $250,000 kickback from developers who saw our properties as obstacles to be removed. We go public. I said. Thomas shook head. Not yet. Right now have evidence, but no witnesses willing testify under oath. Secretary won't go on record, Homeowners still scared. Victoria doesn't know we have files still operating open, generating new evidence. We wait until annual meeting. Present everything at once, in front entire community, with state investigator attending. One shot, make it count. Red X, on calendar, December 28th. 7 weeks. Document every new violation. Get signed statements, everyone willing talk? Prepare presentation so airtight, so comprehensive. When we're done, Victoria Sinclair won't just lose position, she'll lose everything. We divided work. Thomas coordinated legal framework. Preparing state regulatory board documentation. I took evidence gathering, cross-referencing every summit invoice against actual work, photographing sites, collecting receipts. Secretary continued feeding internal emails, meeting minutes. By early December, testimony from 23 homeowners, forensic accountant confirmed, Summit invoiced $89,000 18 months. Actual materials and labor couldn't exceed $32,000. Remaining $57,000 disappeared. Add tree sale markup $6,000. Inflated assessments, total misappropriated funds exceeded $120,000. December 10th. Thomas filed formal complaint, 68 pages allegations. 340 pages exhibits, financial records, email threads, witness statements, photographs, invoices, comprehensive analysis showing systematic fraud, embezzlement, breach fiduciary duty, conversion, homeowner funds, personal gain, requested immediate forensic audit, temporary suspension board financial authority, appointment neutral interim administrator pending investigation. State response, 5 business days later, complaint received and accepted. Investigation initiated. Investigator assigned within 10 business days. Bureaucratic language, but meant everything. This wasn't just civil dispute. This was state-level criminal investigation into public officials accused systematic theft. Victoria's counterattack started hours after state letter arrived at HOA office. Email blast 300 homeowners. Malicious allegations threaten our community. Carefully crafted portraying herself. Marcus, as dedicated volunteers under assault by disgruntled outsider with grudge. Warning baseless accusations could raise everyone's dues. Claiming certain individuals spreading misinformation to undermine property values. Never mentioned me by name. Subtext clear. I was threat. Problem. Trying to destroy what they'd built. Marcus posted long defense community forum summit as legitimate contractor offering competitive rates. Supposed testimonials. Claiming all decisions properly voted. Documented. Photos completed projects carefully selected. Omitting inflated invoices. Manufactured violations. 24 hours. Maybe 40 homeowners commented support. Thanking board. Condemning troublemakers. 48 hours looked like Victoria might win narrative. She controlled official channels. Had years credibility. Knew how weaponize community identity against outsiders. Several homeowners who'd spoken to me got nervous messages asking maybe let state handle it quietly. Worried retaliation. Property devaluation. Then Thomas called reporter he knew county newspaper. 72 hours later, Pinewood Gazette ran front-page investigative piece. Former forestry manager uncovers alleged $120,000 HOA fraud scheme. Article thorough. Careful words alleged, according to complaints, but laid entire case detail accessible anyone reading. Shell company registered treasurer's home. Pattern targeting vulnerable homeowners. Tree removal property outside jurisdiction. Sunrise Meadows emails showing 250,000 referral fees, facilitating acquisitions, included key documents, redacted protect witnesses, clear enough, show paper trail. Quoted Thomas, explaining fiduciary responsibilities. Legal definition, embezzlement. Statement from state compliance confirming investigation underway. Photographs, stumps my property. Summit registration, Marcus's address. Side by side, public internal financial reports. Everything we'd built, 6 weeks. Presented black-white newsprint, couldn't be deleted. Edited. Spun away. Response immediate. Overwhelming. Online version shared 150 times. First, 12 hours. Comments poured in current. Former Cedarwood residents sharing own questionable charges. Expressing shock. Alleged fraud scope. Local news picked up brief segment evening broadcast about HOA accountability. Homeowner rights. End of week. Story spread beyond county. Showing state-level HOA reform discussions. Inside Cedarwood, mood shifted. Homeowners silent started asking questions publicly. Why Summit so many no-bid contracts? Why minutes not posted? Where emergency assessment money when gates still not fixed? Protective bubble Victoria built started developing cracks. Light getting through. People too afraid speak alone realized they were crowd now. Crowds have different mathematics. Secretary sent email 3 words. Attachment. She's panicking. Look. Attachment. Internal message. Victoria Marcus. 2 a.m. Night article ran. No careful language. Just raw fear rage. This is your fault. Your company. Your sloppy records. I told you, better documentation. Now they have everything, and we're exposed. Emergency board meeting tomorrow. Need damage control before annual meeting, or we're both finished. Forwarded Thomas. He called immediately. Perfect. Let her scramble. Let her make mistakes. Panicked. People do stupid things. Need her do something stupid next 2 weeks. Annual meeting, December 28th. 18 days. Between now, then, finish building case. Every willing homeowner notarized statements. Every fraudulent invoice document. Every panic email archive. Prepare presentation so airtight when we walk into community center. No possible defense except confession. I hung up and looked out at the farm in the gray December light. Snow falling steadily. Now, the stumps had weathered to silver, and a few small shoots were emerging from the surviving root system's volunteer growth. Unstoppable and stubborn. I thought about my father working this land for 30 years. Thought about the glove on my desk and the promise I'd made. 18 days. Then I'd stand in front of 300 homeowners and show them exactly what their board president had been doing with their money and their trust, and Victoria Sinclair would finally understand what my father had known all along, that some things, once planted, you can't cut down. They just keep growing. Presentation took shape, 10 days, careful construction. Thomas and I worked evenings, building 30-minute sequence designed unfold layers, each revelation opening gate to next evidence level. 5 gates. 5 proof levels. Each irrefutable, documented. Gate 1. Establish credibility. Basic facts. Plat map proving property outside HOA jurisdiction. Photographs. Stumps. Time-stamped. Work order logging company. Check 4471 showing 18,000 paid HOA funds trees they had no authority touch. Simple. Visual. Impossible deny. Gate 2. Expand my case to pattern. Spreadsheet 89,000 paid. Summit 18 months. Business registration proving Marcus owns Summit. Side by side. Invoiced work versus actual work photographs from homeowners documenting fraud. 23 separate incidents. Gate 3. Connect Victoria Marcus directly through communications. Email threads planning enforcement. Discussing vendor selection never competitive. Coordinating votes bypass approval. For V-only reports showing real money flow. Minutes with votes changed after fact. Proving conspiracy, not incompetent. Deliberately, systematically stealing. Gate 4. Reveal endgame. Sunrise Meadows folder with 250,000 referral fee. Explicit strategy. Make owners desperate sell. List 12 properties, including farm, each marked pressure tactics. Timelines. Blueprint showing planned resort development land they didn't own but intended to acquire manufactured crises. Gate 5. Consequences. Credibility. State investigation confirmation. Forensic accountant analysis. Notarized statements. 23 homeowners willing testify. Formal demand, immediate board resignation. Full audit. Restitution, all victims. We prepared counter moves. Technical sabotage scenarios. 3 USB backups. Cloud copies. 50 printed handouts. Thomas had bylaws memorized. Annual meetings required quorum. Couldn't be dismissed without majority vote. 3 days before meeting. I walked entire 5 acres, not document. Remember why mattered. Stumps silvering. Volunteer shoots, pushing from maybe 30 surviving roots. Young pines taking 7 years harvest size like predecessors. Knelt by old Joe Stump. Touched, weathered wood. Father working the soil before I was born. Planting futures he'd never see. Mature. He'd known Victoria dangerous. Documented her attempts by land. Threats. Escalating pressure. But also knew running long con requires patience. Patient people make mistakes. Generate paper trails. Digital footprints. Witnesses who eventually talk. Father planted evidence way he planted trees, knowing someone would eventually harvest it. Just hadn't lived long enough see it happen. Stood. Looked west toward Cedarwood, invisible, beyond tree line. Snow falling. 72 hours I'd walk into community center. Show 300 people what their president been doing, their name. Night before meeting. Couldn't sleep. Sat father's desk. Reviewing presentation final. Time slides advancing laptop. Quiet, darkness. Gate 1 through 5. 30 minutes dismantle 3-year con. 30 minutes. Honor promise. Dying man. Closed laptop. Picked up leather work glove. Stiff from disuse. Put on right hand. Flexed fingers. Feeling worn spots where father's grip shaped material. Fit perfectly. Inherited his hands along with land, his build. His stubborn refusal bow when someone claimed authority they didn't legitimately possess. Tomorrow I'd wear this glove, that meeting. Let Victoria see it. Remember man who told her no 3 times. Documented her threats. Raised son. Patient enough. Wait 3 years. Right moment act. Looked out window farm in moonlight. Stumps. Casting long shadows. Silver snow. Somewhere distant truck engine rumbled, late shift workers heading home. Ordinary people, trusting institutions, governing communities, operated basic honesty, accountability. When it wasn't, when people in charge decided rules didn't apply them, someone had stand up, prove otherwise. Not violence, threats, evidence, procedure, patient accumulation, irrefutable proof. Tomorrow was December 28th. Annual meeting. 7 p.m. Arrive 6:30, set up projector. Test audio. Arrange handouts. At 7, Victoria would call meeting order, expecting rubber stamp approval. Compliant homeowners. Then I'd raise hand. Ask. Speak. One sentence, start it. I have information about HOA, financial irregularities, community needs, see. After that, gates would open, sequence each, evidence layer, leading inevitably next until know or hide. Nothing deny. Took off glove. Set desk, where I'd see first thing morning. Went bed. Slept dreamlessly. First time, month sleep. Someone who'd done work. Built case. Ready. Whatever came next. The Cedarwood Community Center parking lot was already half full when I arrived at 6:30. The December evening cold enough to turn breath visible under the streetlights. Snow piled high along the curbs. I counted vehicles as I walked toward the entrance. 43 cars. Which meant probably 100 people already inside. Maybe more. Record attendance for an annual meeting, according to Thomas, who was waiting by the door with the presentation laptop and projector case. Big crowd, he said quietly. Word got around. People want to see this. We went inside and started setting up. The main hall could hold 300 if you packed them in rows of folding chairs facing a raised platform where the board table sat. Victoria and Marcus were already positioned there. Victoria in that crimson-red blazer I'd seen at the emergency meeting, the one that caught the light and commanded attention. Marcus in a tie that didn't quite match his shirt. The secretary Rachel sat to Victoria's left. Eyes fixed on her laptop screen, like she could disappear into the pixels if she tried hard enough. I set up the projector at the back of the room, tested the connection twice, and placed stacks of handout packets on a table near the entrance. By 6:55, every seat was filled, and people were standing along the walls. Victoria called the meeting to order at exactly 7 p.m., voice amplified by the podium microphone. Welcome, everyone. Wonderful to see such engagement from our community. We have standard business to cover tonight. Financial report, board elections, proposed bylaw amendments. But first, I understand some members have concerns they'd like to address during open forum. Per our bylaws, each speaker gets 5 minutes. Please keep comments respectful and on topic. She looked directly at me when she said it, smile tight and controlled. That crimson blazer bright under the fluorescent lights. I raised my hand. She pretended not to see it, calling instead on an elderly man in the front row who wanted to discuss holiday decoration regulations. 3 more speakers went before she finally acknowledged me, each one taking their full 5 minutes on topics carefully irrelevant to what everyone actually wanted to hear about. Street parking, noise complaints, pool maintenance schedules. Victoria responded to each with practiced patience, demonstrating her competence and reasonableness for the crowd. But I could see the tension in her shoulders. The way her fingers gripped the podium edge just slightly too hard, those glossy red nails catching the light. She knew what was coming. Finally, after 20 minutes of theater, she said, "Yes, Mr. Cole, you had something to share. I turned so I was facing the audience rather than the board, and spoke clearly into the silence. I have information about HOA financial irregularities that I believe the community needs to see. It'll take about 30 minutes to present fully, and I've prepared visual documentation. May I use the projector? Victoria's smile never wavered. I'm not sure that's appropriate for an open forum. If you have concerns about finances, you should submit them in writing to the board for review. Thomas stood. Actually, under Robert's Rules of Order and State HOA Act, Section 712, any homeowner affected by board actions has the right to present relevant information at annual meetings. Mr. Cole's property was directly impacted by HOA decisions. He has standing. Victoria's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Mr. Cole doesn't own property within HOA jurisdiction. He's not a member. I pulled the plat map from my folder and held it up. My property is outside your jurisdiction, which is exactly the problem. On December 12th, this board authorized the removal and sale of 200 trees from land you had no authority over. You collected $18,000 for property you didn't own. That's called theft. Mrs. Sinclair. And it's just the beginning of what I'm here to show everyone tonight. The room erupted in whispers. Victoria banged her gavel. That's a serious accusation requiring serious evidence. Do you have such evidence? Mr. Cole? I smiled. Yes. Ma'am, may I proceed? She glanced at Marcus, who gave a tiny shrug. They were box denying me now would look like they had something to hide. And with this many witnesses, they couldn't afford obvious suppression. 5 minutes. Victoria said. Thomas stood again. Actually, there's no time limit specified for evidence presentation under these circumstances, but will be as efficient as possible. I walked to the back and started the first slide, aerial photograph of my farm showing the stumps. Date stamped, December 13th. Gate 1. I said, personal theft and fraud. I showed the plat map proving my property boundaries, the work order from the logging company, check number 4471, signed by Marcus, the fake easement document they'd claimed gave them authority. There is no historical easement agreement from 1987. I checked county records. The HOA wasn't even incorporated until 1992. This document is a fabrication, and it was used to justify stealing $18,000 worth of timber from private property. Marcus stood up, face flushing, red. Now wait, just a minute. That's completely out of context. We acted in good faith based on... I cut him off. Based on what? A photocopy so blurry you can't read the signature that you claimed was in secured storage but somehow couldn't produce the original. Gate 2. I advanced the slide to the financial spreadsheet. Summit Property Services. $89,000 paid over 18 months. But here's the interesting part. Summit Property Services LLC is registered to 527 Willow Creek Road. Your home address, Mr. Stone. You've been paying yourself with HOA funds. The whispers turned into shouts. Someone yelled, "Is that true?" Marcus stammered. "It's a legitimate business. I provide quality service at competitive rates." I showed the next slide. Photographs from homeowners showing invoiced work versus actual work. This invoice claims 50 fence boards were replaced. Photographic evidence shows 15. This one claims $12,000 for community gate repair. The gate was never repaired. This one. This one. This one. 23 separate incidents of work billed and never performed, or performed at triple the market cost. You weren't providing service. Mr. Stone. You were running a protection racket. Victoria banged the gavel repeatedly, that crimson blazer catching the light as she moved. This is defamatory and inappropriate. I move that we suspend the open forum. A man in the third row stood. I want to hear this. I paid $3,000 for a mailbox violation last year. Summit was the only approved contractor. A woman near the back called out, "Me too." $8,000 for fence work they never finished. More voices joined in, overlapping until the room was chaos. Victoria's gavel was useless against the rising anger. I waited for it to quiet, slightly, and then moved to Gate 3. These are emails between Mrs. Sinclair and Mr. Stone obtained from HOA records that homeowners have a legal right to access. I showed the threads on screen. Planning enforcement actions. Discussing vendor selection. Coordinating votes. Here's one from March discussing how to handle a homeowner who questioned a billing discrepancy. Quote, threaten lien if she doesn't pay. She's a single mother. She'll cave rather than lawyer up, and here meeting minutes showing votes that never actually happened, or happened with board members voting on contracts they had financial interest in. This isn't mismanagement. This is conspiracy to defraud. Marcus stood again, but his voice cracked. You don't understand how HOA operations work. We do this as volunteers. We don't get paid. We deserve some compensation for the time and effort we, Victoria hissed. Marcus, shut up. But he was past stopping now. Words tumbling out in defensive panic. Summit was just a way to streamline costs. We weren't stealing. We were managing efficiently. Everything we did was to maintain property values. I advanced to Gate 4, and his voice died mid-sentence. The Sunrise Meadows folder filled the screen, emails discussing the $250,000 referral fee, development plans showing 12 target properties, strategy documents explicitly stating make owners desperate to sell. I read aloud slowly. Quote, Thompson Farm is priority acquisition. Continue pressure through enforcement until he accepts buyout offer. My father refused to sell to you 3 times. Mrs. Sinclair. So you waited until he died and tried to break me instead. You stole my trees to force me into a financial crisis so developers could buy my land cheap and pay you $250,000 in kickbacks. The room wasn't just angry anymore. People were standing, shouting, demanding answers. Someone screamed, You tried to steal his farm. Victoria stood, hand shaking, voice rising to match the crowd. This is slander. You're a bitter outsider who doesn't contribute to this community, doesn't understand what we've built here. I spoke over her. I'm the son of Robert Cole, who lived here 40 years, who built the access road you use every day, who refused to let you turn his legacy into resort parking lots. You called him short-sighted. You said you'd find another way. You found it, didn't you? You just didn't count on him raising someone stubborn enough to fight back. Victoria's composure cracked completely. That crimson blazer rising and falling with her breathing. I built this community. I increased property values 8%. I created stability and standards and order, and nobody appreciates it. Nobody thanks me. You all just complain and question and undermine everything I've sacrificed for. A voice from the back cut through her meltdown. Mrs. Sinclair, I'm going to suggest you stop talking and consult an attorney. Every head turned. A man in a gray suit stood near the entrance, late 40s. Badge visible on his belt? State HOA Compliance Division. This meeting is now part of an active investigation. I move to Gate 5. The state investigation confirmation. The forensic audit results? The legal analysis showing embezzlement? Fraud. Breach of fiduciary duty. Conversion. I move for an immediate vote to remove the current board and establish an interim oversight committee pending full investigation. Hands shot up across the room. Victoria tried to object, but her microphone had been cut. The vote was overwhelming. 267 in favor, 3 against. Marcus sat down heavily, face in his hands. Rachel was crying quietly, and Victoria just stood there perfectly still in that crimson-red blazer, watching her empire collapse in real time. 3 months later, the legal machinery finished its work. Victoria Sinclair pled guilty to embezzlement and fraud Class C felonies carrying 18 months incarceration, 3 years supervised release, and restitution totaling $150,000. The judge also imposed a lifetime ban on holding any HOA board position anywhere in the state. Marcus Stone got 24 months for his role, plus $200,000 in fines and the forced dissolution of Summit Property Services. They both sold their homes to pay the judgments. Last I heard, Victoria had moved 2 counties over, working retail. Marcus was doing warehouse night shifts. Rachel received immunity for cooperation and took a job with a nonprofit dedicated to HOA reform. Sunrise Meadows Development lost its operating license after the state investigation uncovered similar schemes in 3 other counties. Their CEO resigned under pressure. The 12 properties they'd targeted, including my farm, remained in their owners' hands, no longer under threat. The forensic audit recovered $87,000 from Victoria and Marcus's personal accounts money that was distributed back to the 23 documented victims, plus 17 others who came forward once it was safe to speak. I received $18,000 for the trees, which I immediately invested in seedlings and soil amendments. The new interim board consisted of 7 homeowners who'd never served before, people who'd been victimized by the old regime and understood what accountability actually meant. They voted unanimously to make all financial records publicly accessible online, to require competitive bidding for any contract over $500, and to mandate annual independent audits. The first thing they did was issue a formal apology to everyone Victoria and Marcus had targeted, followed by a complete review of every compliance action from the past 4 years. 42 citations were reversed as baseless or improperly authorized. On a warm April morning, I stood in the center of what had been a graveyard of stumps and watched 150 new saplings catch the early light snow, long melted spring green emerging. Each tree had a tag, not names this time, but numbers corresponding to a registry I kept in my father's journal. Tree 001 for the retired teacher who'd been fined over her mailbox. 002 for the man with the fence. 003 through 023 for the others who'd stood up when it mattered. The remaining trees were numbered for homeowners who'd voted to remove the corrupt board's small acknowledgments that justice requires community participation. The center tree planted where old Joe's stump used to be was different. I'd carved a small plaque from reclaimed wood and mounted it on a stake beside the sapling, Robert Cole. He taught me patience. The tree was a white pine from seed I'd collected from the oldest surviving tree on the property, a genetic continuation of the forest my father had started 4 decades ago. It would take 7 years to reach harvest size. I'd be 47 by then, old enough to understand what my father had known at that age, that the things worth protecting require thinking in generations. not quarters. I organized a community planting day for the last Saturday in April, sending invitations to everyone who'd attended that December meeting. 40 people showed up with gloves and shovels, including families with kids who ran between the rows while parents worked soil and set roots. We planted another 50 trees that day, expanding the farm back toward its original capacity. Someone brought a grill. Someone else brought folding tables. By afternoon, it looked less like work and more like the kind of gathering my father used to talk about, neighbors helping neighbors. Community built through shared effort rather than enforced compliance. The new board president helped me install a sign near the farm entrance, simple wood construction with routed letters, Coal Pine Farm, where justice grows. Cheesy. Maybe. But it made people smile. And smiles were in short supply during the previous regime. As the sun dropped toward the horizon and families started packing up, a young girl, maybe 7 years old, walked over to where I was kneeling beside the Robert tree. She asked how long before it got big. I told her 7 years. But every day it grew a little. And that's how justice worked too. Slow. Patient. Inevitable if you did the work and didn't give up. She thought about that for a moment, then asked if she could water it. I handed her the watering can and watched her carefully pour water around the base, sunlight catching in the droplets like small promises. The tree would grow. The community would heal. And somewhere, I like to think my father was watching wearing his leather work glove, satisfied that the land he'd protected was finally safe. Not because someone had bowed, but because someone had refused to